winter is finally here, and we can really kick the door open on all these major projects we're working on. You can see from the thumbnail that we've already done that with the new Amazonian Islands 1,200 gallon, but we've done it in a lot of other areas too. As well as we're going to check in on the sharks. They're settled in, the estuary, the 750, just a lot going on, so let's check it out. Okay, so I was walking around inside the 3,000 gallon, and I figured I'll go ahead and clean up this rock area here, and we'll get it fixed up again, and hopefully the third time is a charm, and we'll make it strong enough that it'll be shark proof. Okay, so my advice is every time you're walking around in your 3,000 gallon shark aquarium, take a minute and fix up the scape a little bit from where the sharks have damaged it, and you know, keep moving forward. It's a little less each time, so eventually we will end up with a very, very hardened sharkscape. Okay, so got all the big rocks stationed up here on top of the 1,200 gallon. Oh wait, there's the albino arrow cruising around in there. Actually, been doing awesome. The two arrows, they seem to love each other. They hang out together all the time, so that's really cool. And actually, I've totally forgot, I got that big air pump I need to add to the 4,500. I think I've just been sort of putting it off a little bit because I have to run some air tubes all on the back there, you know, 30, well, probably more than 35 feet, because they got to go down inside of the wetland, and then a couple drops along the way, and then a lot down at the end there. So yeah, kind of been dreading doing the work, getting up in there, but I did a little pruning today on the plants up top, and I'm gonna do a little more pruning as well, and clean it up some. As well as I do have the plans to put another bar, wood bar up here, and move these top lights back a little bit so that the plants will grow up and out even more. So, I don't know, maybe I'll do all that at the same time. But at any rate, 4,500 gallon is doing great, and the moving the arrow is doing great. So back to the 1,200 here. I have a bunch of the big rocks staged up top, and I'm gonna get down in here and try to get that first pass. This isn't really what it's gonna look like. It's gonna be moved around quite a bit, but I'm gonna do that very first pass, get it kind of rocked in, get some plant baskets set in certain spots, and then that'll give you a good idea of the rough outline of what we're gonna do with the small island here and the bigger island here. And then I'll go ahead and start filling in with gravel and sand and the wood and everything, and then it'll really come together. But like I said, once the initial islands are rocked in, I think you'll get a good idea of the flow, especially when there's not a step stool in there and all that good stuff. But like all these tanks, it makes sense in the end. So let me get in there and start rocking in these islands. So it's finally time to aquascape the 1,000 gallon estuary, and you might be wondering why I waited so long, and that's because it's really big. It's going to take a lot of rock. So I was waiting for a sale, and thankfully it finally came. I got 5 boxes of this, what is it, like the fake live rock that's already got the color and everything like that, Carib Sea. So we got 200 pounds of it. Each box was $50 off because it was on sale. So for people, you know, for someone like me with big tanks, I have to get stuff on sale. You know, I get the food on sale all the time, and when I get rock and stuff like that, same thing. So save me $250, and we can finally start scaping this bad boy, because we have some grow outs that are going to go in here that need to go into the 3,000 gallon once they're big enough. Alright, so I have the first batch of rocks in there, and you can see we've got sort of a 3-tiered larger island over here with the plant baskets. If you can imagine, they're all going to be rocked around, so you won't see it. It'll look natural. And then the second island over here, which is 2 tiers. One thing people ask about is, what do I put in the pond baskets? Well, it's all a mix. So like you can see, this one here has a lot of clay pebbles, and then if we come up over top, these ones over here have just a mix of fluorite, crushed up lava rock, clay pebbles, Eco Complete, just leftover stuff that I put in there. Something for, what I like to have is obviously something for the roots to grab onto, but something that is clay based so that it holds in some nutrients, which is usually helpful for root feeders. You can see I've staged more big rocks up here on top of the tank, and if I come outside, I have a whole bunch of larger rocks and then medium-sized rocks in here. So basically we're going to do the large rocks first, and then a whole bunch of these medium-sized rocks. Then as we come back inside, see I have some buckets with the smaller 3/4 inch river rock. So if you can imagine, we're going to finish doing the larger rocks around the perimeter and some of the spots on the interior, like you can see over here, where it makes sense. There'll be some big rocks in between those baskets, and then we'll fill in with the medium-sized rocks, and then the gravel will fill it all in between there, and then we'll also have some of the medium-sized rocks and gravel around the edge at the bottom to naturalize it. And there'll probably be maybe another plant all the way at ground level here, rocked around somewhere in here. I want to leave a lot of open space, sand for the geophagus, but there'll definitely be some 1 or 2 plants that are all the way at ground level. You can see I have another couple baskets over here ready to go, and you can see they're filled with Eco-Complete, gravel, and fluorite. So just a mix of those types of things. And lastly, before I forget, I'm thinking about doing something different with the wetland filter. So because of the uniqueness of this with the pole and everything, I've been thinking of maybe trying a strategy that I've thought about using for a while, but never did, because I always had, you know, real huge filters like that, so there's no need. But what I'm thinking about doing is filling this thing up, basically turning this into a giant sediment filter / moving bed filter. So I'll fill it up with this over here. I have a whole bunch of bags of this K1 media. One time it was on sale in these giant bags for dirt cheap. I think it was like $20 for one of these big bags, and I bought a whole bunch of them, and I've got them stored out in the shed. But at any rate, I could fill this up, let's say halfway, with that biomaterial, that K1 material, and then of course once it's full of water, that stuff's gonna float. So I basically need something at the top to hold it down, and what'll happen is the pumps on the far side will pump in and down, and I don't want them all the way at the bottom because I want to create a calm area at the bottom for settling. So I'll bring the inputs about halfway down and shoot them out this way into the main filter box underneath all of that floating material, and then so all the heavy stuff will settle to the bottom, and then I'll have all that moving, you know, as the water moves through all that K1 material. That'll give me a ton of biological and mechanical, because it's going to block anything big, which is going to float to the bottom. And then of course I could also introduce oxygen under there with air stones to create a environment that is supercharged with aerobic bacteria. Of course that would overflow back in there. So really the only thing I have to do is figure out a way to keep the K1 media from flowing up and over, which isn't too hard. I could use Matalamat or egg crate. There's different things I could fix in there to make that happen. And then of course from time to time I'll want to pump out the bottom of this big reservoir, so all the way at the bottom is where all the sediment's going to be, and so I just need to have a mechanism to be able to, you know, like access it with my pump to put down there and suck all that out. But I'm thinking about going that way instead of trying to work in all the standoffs down there and all the rock around the big pole there. So we'll see how that goes, but right now I'm leaning towards that. So what I'm gonna do now is get the rest of this big rock in and the smaller rock, and get it all the way ready to go for wood. And then we'll come over here and we'll take this wood from the creek by my house, and we'll get that situated. And then after that, of course, it'll be time for substrate, so we'll get the sand in there and everything, and essentially at that point we'll have Amazonian Islands 2.0 minus the live plants, because obviously got to get the water in there first. But at some point I'll be going for a dive and planting those swords in there once we have all the hardscape done. So let me get back in there and get to work. For anyone wondering if the sharks were still breeding, well, there you go. You can see they are all acclimated to their new home, and they're back at it. There's the male trying to entice the female there. I didn't think it would take long for these guys. They're pretty tight. They're always together, and as we know from their other tank, they were very prolific breeders, and they just have a much bigger both aquarium and ecosystem over here, so no reason to think that they would stop. But it did take them, you know, maybe 3 weeks or so to get accustomed to their new home, but I've been seeing all week, right before I go to bed, they seem to be all back at it. Alright, I'm going to give these guys some alone time. Whew! That is definitely some aquarium fit. That is 6 hours to drag all that rock in here and aquascape it. So we've got, I guess I'll call them hard points. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hard points, which means plant baskets, where we're going to put those plants. And we've got the big rocks, the medium rocks, and the little rocks. We need to add the sand into all that area. So we have a lot of sand to add, and we have the wood, and that's it. So I'm gonna have to wait for the wood for tomorrow after work, because I'm spent, not as young as I used to be. Some of this rock I had to drag from the other side of the property, so like an acre away in these buckets. Yeah, I know. I need to get a wagon for my tractor so I can just fill that thing up. But I need to lose the pounds anyway, so I need to do the work. But so these are the new islands. This is the very, very, very beginning of Amazonian Islands 2.0. We have the big island over here, smaller island over here, taking advantage of the 4-foot height of the tank. And yeah, I think once the sand and the wood is in there, hopefully, even right now, it has a natural-ish look to it, you know. Hopefully you don't see any baskets, you don't see any other thing. It looks relatively, you know, natural, like this is something you could see in nature. I think once we get the plants and wood and everything and the sand down there, it'll just continue to enhance that natural look. And as far as the filter goes, I've got an idea. So I don't want to use Metalamat because it'll clog up. I need high flow. But what I was thinking is I could use some PVC pipe and some egg crate and basically create a, you know, basically a cover that sits down in there, keeps the biomedia exactly where I need it, but also allows me to put plant baskets on top of it, because I want to have plants here growing out and over and across the back. And then of course we have all those plants back over there, and then do the same thing over here. So this middle viewing area, just wanted to be a tropical jungle. At any rate, this is certainly good progress. It's a huge undertaking. This is a 10-foot long tank. Let me see if I can get far enough away from it to get it all in there. It's a big tank, 10 feet long, 4 feet wide, 4 feet tall, so it is a substantial undertaking, and we just have a little bit of wood over here, nothing too crazy, but we'll get that figured out tomorrow. I've got the sand, I've got some of the sand right here, the rest of it's right outside that door. So yeah, we'll get this scape knocked out tomorrow, and we'll get the first fill in here. We got to clean up a lot of you know, sand and dirt, you know, from the water column. We'll fill it up, drain it down, and then put the plants in, then fill it up again. But we're getting close. It's time to put some pumps and plumbing, and start filling this thing up with biomedia. This is one of the hardest parts of the build, seeing the tank, the new Amazonian Islands 1,200 gallon, so close to being done, and I just want to see these guys in there. These guys are just going to look so amazing with that aquascape, swimming up and down that large hardscape, in and out of all those roots and wood and wood roots, and of course sifting through all that sand. It is going to be amazing. Can't wait to get them here out of the grow out and into their new home, Amazonian Islands 1,200 gallon. Man, I cannot wait. So close but so far away. But oh my gosh, look at the red on those guys. Just absolutely beautiful. Amazing fish. They got a hell of a home coming their way very, very, very soon. All right, we got some wood sticking out the top of the tank. That's always a good sign that the scape is going the right direction. And let's take a look. All right, so we have rockscape, we have wood, we have a lot of sand. Obviously, we're gonna put some water there and that'll level out that sand. But yeah, we have escape. We are rocking and rolling. Whew, that was a chore. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna fill it up with cold water to clean off all the sand and rock. Some of that debris will float to the top and I'll scoop it out. But just basically kind of a wash down. And then I'm gonna pump that out, and then I'm gonna go in and put all the plants in with the root tabs and everything. So we're gonna have a plant there, up top, down here, and then 3 along the back there. So I'll get all those plants planted, and then I will get it filled up with the right temperature water. And whew, at that point, we just go ahead and get those pumps and plumbing going in over there, over across into here. I'll fill this up with the biomedia and build that basically a platform to hold the biomedia down and to put the plants on top of. I've got some more plant baskets, so we'll get those situated in the riverbank back there. And we are close. We are very, very close, my friends. This is going to be one heck of an awesome Amazon community aquarium. I can definitely feel this. I think it's really going to show when the fish are in here, especially when you see some of the fish are pretty good size. They're friendly community fish, but they're good size. But what I think it's going to show is the height. You know, the scape really is taking advantage of the height of this tank, and I think it's going to show when you have fish at all these different levels, you know, of the tank. This is looking good. All right, let me get this washed down. So before we drain this bad boy, I just want to point out that off season is a great time to get pond baskets. Only $6 a basket, way cheaper than usual. Usually they're 10, 12, all the way up to 20 sometimes. Any rate, so this is we filled it up. We're getting all the dust and the dirt and everything off of all that substrate. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to use my cup. And I'm going to siphon off all the really nasty stuff at the top. And just going to pour it in a bucket here. And I'm just going to continue to do that for all of the nastiest stuff. And then I'm going to get my pump out and go ahead and pump all this water out. And once that's done, it'll be time for me to hop in there, put in those plants, and then we'll fill it back up with proper water. This is cold water just to save, you know, from heating it and everything, save some money. So we'll fill it back up with the proper temperature water. We'll get started on that filter and the plumbing and the pumps. Amazonian Islands 2.0, 1,200 gallon version. It's getting close. Okay, so there's the washed down Amazonian Islands 1,200 gallon. You can see the rocks, all that dusty film is off of the rocks. You can see the color. Obviously the wood sucked up some water, so it's got that nice dark color. And of course there's a lot of dust with the sand. So now my job is to get in there and take some of these root tabs and plant them down in the baskets everywhere where we have the baskets embedded into the hardscape. And then go ahead and get all those Amazon swords, get them moved over here and planted, and then bring the water level back up at temperate level. So basically we'll be filling this thing back up with 77, 78 degree water. And yeah, and hopefully while that's going to take a while for that to happen. So while that's happening, I'll work on the plumbing, the pumps, and the filter. So the Amazon swords are in the tank, the root tabs are in, and we're starting the final fill right now. You can see the swords are quite small, but they are there, and I fully expect them to grow huge. We've got the third light in up there, so we're all good there. And let's take a look. Probably easier to see the plants looking down. So fortunately Amazon swords will grow big, so they'll fill those spaces. So that should work out nicely. So it is time to work on the filter here and get those baskets planted. So we have these plants down here, which are going to go in the riverbank at the back and on top of the filter here. We've got about 10 cubic feet of biomedia, which is Going to go into this chamber here, and then using PVC and egg crate, I'm going to create a stand to sit down in there to hold the media down and to give me a place for the baskets. The rest of my plant baskets came in. When I find stuff on sale, I get a bunch, $6. Same with like this media. I bought this years ago, bought like 6 bags of it. It costs 4 times as much now, so it's good to stock up on things that don't go bad if you know you're going to use them eventually, right? So, okay, so that's going to take forever to fill, so I think I'm going to work on the filter right now. So even though there's already a lot going on, there's a whole lot more coming. As you can see, the 1,200 gallon Amazonian Islands is almost done. I have pre-seeded bacteria and everything, so it's going to come online very fast. So you're going to see the debut of the Amazonian Islands 1,200 gallon extremely soon. You're going to see the debut of the marine estuary fully aquascaped. And it's going to be covered and fully lit too. The lights that are there now are just for the mangroves. It'll have its own lights. It is going to be a living estuary with macroalgae, corals, baby sharks and rays and groupers, things like that. So it has a long ways to go, and it is an aquarium in and of itself. The 750 gallon is almost ready to go. I have nets that are coming in. They're going to let me get the rest of the fish out of there. And then it's time to make that the 750 gallon Malawi River Aquarium. And then of course, the big one is the 2,000 gallon Marine Lagoon Aquarium. So that's going to be our marine community and coral tank. That's going to open up. The 600 gallon, which is going to go African Cichlids, Tanganyikan, the 265, which we got a special surprise for that, and of course the sump, the 700 gallon sump that those all feed into. I have a very cool plan for that as well. So really opens up everything, this build and the 2,000 gallon. So buckle in, because it's going to be a busy spring and summer. So with warm weather here, it's a little easier to do these builds, so we're going to try to get these videos out a little faster. So expect the debut video on the tank behind me very, very soon, quickly followed by the marine estuary, and then after that we're going to try to keep on a better cadence. Warm weather's here, it's time to build. Let's go.